Today's episode of Our Poor Decisions is all about the Italian town of Montalcino and its red grapes known by the name of Brunello. Not often can you trace a region's wine tradition back to a grandfather and a grandson, but Brunello di Montalcino is a fascinating story about how a grandfather and grandson's work with cloning and winemaking methods set the stage for a thriving wine that's celebrated by expert critics and wine professionals alike 150 years later. This will be my first time drinking Brunello di Montalcino wines. Am I going to be influenced more by Pops?
I don't think this one is going to hit my list.
Or do my taste buds align more with Stacey and the professional wine critics?
Hi wine lovers, welcome to another episode of Our Poor Decisions.
And this is our first show dedicated to Italian wines.
It is indeed. In fact, some of our reviewers suggested that we do an episode on Brunello di Montalcinos. And here we are.
But Brunellos, they're not really your go-to wine.
No, they're really not. I find them a bit tannicky and austere. But you know, these wines are like the darlings of wine critics and wine professionals.
Well, it sounds like Stacey's gonna really love these.
You're probably right about that. She will probably love these wines. 5 bottles we're trying today are Biondi-Santi, Pieve Santa Restituta, Renieri, Uccelliera, and Casanova de Neri. All should bring something quite unique to the glass.
There are some 100-point wines in here, and that's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, I think we have a really good representation of Brunellos, and this is going to be a good tasting.
Well, do you want to go over the history of these wines a little bit before Stacey gets here?
Let's do it. Brunello di Montalcino, as the name suggests, is a wine made from Brunello, which is a local name for Sangiovese. Montalcino itself is a town in the Siena province of Tuscany, Italy. Brunello di Montalcino was first recognized as a DOC in 1966, and then a DOCG, which is Italy's highest quality designation, in 1980. Today we're trying 5 bottles of Brunello di Montalcino. One of the fascinating aspects of Brunello is that there are at least 7 unique zones within the DOCG. The altitude of Brunello vineyards vary from 300 feet to over 1,800 feet. And then there are the soil variations that range from sandy seabed rich in fossils to areas with heavy clay. The microclimates vary from dry Mediterranean to continental with morning fog.
So how do you feel about Brunello?
Brunello is a classic wine, one of the first DOCGs in Italy, and I am super stoked to get to taste these today.
So why is it that wine professionals and wine geeks are so excited about Brunellos?
So I think you have a wine here that created a style that is the first of something. It's the first DOCG in Italy. It is taking a grape that is represented all over Italy, Sangiovese, and presenting it in this unique style. So you're gonna bring me another Cabernet from Napa? Okay, fine. But this is like the first of something. This is a unique iteration of wine and of Sangiovese. That's kind of cool to me.
Did you just slam Napa?
Maybe a little.
Oh my gosh. 2 main characters in the history of Brunello are Clemente Santi, the grandfather who was a writer and a scientist and started making wine at Il Greppo in the 1850s, and Ferruccio Biondi, his grandson, who cloned Sangiovese varietals on American rootstock to combat oidium and phylloxera. And Brunello, as we know it today, was first released in 1888 by Ferruccio Biondi-Santi. I find Brunellos just slightly tannicky, slightly austere, slightly acidic, without all the fruit that needs to balance it out. So what am I missing here?
Man, I don't know. What are you missing here? Because yes, it's got elevated tannins, although not quite as much as some of the cabs that you're drinking on the regular basis. It's got lots of great acidity. Sangiovese is all about acidity, which is wonderful. But there's tons of fruit for me. It's a different kind of fruit than some of the Napa wines that we've tasted or some of the things from Bordeaux that we've tasted. And it tends to be on that sour cherry, tart, high acid kind of spectrum. So if you're looking for darker berries and richer, darker fruits, maybe this isn't the right wine for you.
Well, I am super excited, B, to see how you are gonna like Brunellos, because I don't think these are easy wines for the consumers to like, and it'll be fascinating to me.
I know, now I'm curious because the way you described it sounds good.
Right?
But then the way you're describing it makes me question things. So I think I just need to dive right in.
Where do you want to start?
Let's do it. So we've got 4 2010s, which is one of the greatest vintages for Brunello, and we have 1 2011. But that 2011 is kind of special. So I think we need to start there.
A tasting of Brunello's hardly seemed complete without including Biondi-Santi. When Ferruccio Biondi-Santi bottled his first Brunello di Montalcino in 1888, he laid the foundation for an entire DOCG about 100 years later. The wines are still made from Biondi-Santi Clone 11 on the Tenuta Greppo vineyard. The grapes used in this particular bottling are from vines between 20 and 25 years old, and the wine spent 3 years in Slovenian oak barrels, which is of course the traditional method the winery established more than 100 years ago. Biondi-Santi is synonymous with Brunello di Montalcino.
Right off the bat, it kind of looks like a really old Bordeaux.
It's definitely got age, it's 2011. We're starting off with a lighter color, so Sangiovese is not going to give you nearly as much color as the blends that are coming in from Bordeaux with Merlot, Cabernet, Cab Franc. All of those have thicker skins, deeper colors.
I will admit something to you.
Do.
When I first opened this bottle, the cork kind of smelled like an old shower curtain.
Ooh, that's not a good smell.
And that is a sign, B, of corked wine.
Oh, I was gonna say, I used to do swim team and it smelled like the swim locker room.
Oh no!
Like, kind of like, yeah.
Wet, moldy cork taint is not a good smell.
I think we managed to get a corked bottle of Brunello di Montalcino up front in our tasting.
That hurts me.
Now, luckily, this one came from a local distributor, a local shop, who will take it back from us. While we've talked about how to get these bottles back if something goes bad, if you buy from a local shop, the great part is you can take it back to the local shop. I've got the receipt.
This is a real bonus, because we haven't been able to do that yet.
Buy local.
Okay, we're back a few days later. Stacey, what can you fill us in on what happened?
Our friends at Best Way were really, really gracious to have a second bottle, thank goodness, that they purchased at the same time from this release sale, and we just traded them out.
This is so great that we get to do this, because what is Brunello di Montalcino tasting without Biondi-Santi?
It's the OG.
So are we ready?
I'm dying.
All right.
I'm definitely not getting that mildew pool smell.
No, this is very different from the nose.
It does look like it's got some brick color.
Oh, yeah.
So back to the wines that this 11 looks different than the 10s. So the 10s were still very dark. They were very, young.
Cheers.
That's so much. There's just so much. Like, love it or hate it, there's so much to talk about there.
It's good mouthfeel. It's kind of a medium, I think, in terms of just thickness.
Yeah, the body, for
sure. I don't think it's a heavy body. It's somewhere in the medium. And lots of that earthiness is starting, but it's not really like on the forefront, I don't think.
For me, I'm going to call the body a little bit higher because I think the acidity is so much that it's just making my mouth water, that it's tricking me. Do you like it?
I like it. I've had like 5 sips already, so.
Just while we were talking?
I think that it does make your mouth water and it makes you want to go back in for another sip.
That holds up to the name. This brings something to the party.
If I were to compare this to some of the other wines that we've had in this price range, this isn't like, it's fun, it's good, it's the wine, and we know the history and all that, and there's just a part of me that thinks, if we tasted this blind, would we be as excited about it?
Right.
Would you buy this wine for your wine cellar?
I think this is a wine that deserves a place in the cellar, for sure. It ages, it is going to be something fun to pull out later. My personal cellar? That's hard.
I believe in revealed preferences. And that really comes down to, am I going to buy this wine and put it in my cellar and store it for a special occasion? And I don't think this wine is going to hit my list. Now, do I love trying it, and should all viewers who drink Brunello di Montalcino try Biondi-Santi? Absolutely.
100%.
But am I going to put cases of it in my cellar? I don't think so.
Going by that rationale, the same special sale that Best Way bought these bottles from was offered to me as well, and I did not buy them. So if we're looking at that revealed preference, then clearly it was not on my decision making. I did buy the DRC that they offered me, though.
We washed the glasses steamed them, did not want any of that residue, right? So
Smells like glass.
we're ready to go next. The Pieve Santa Restituta estate was purchased by Angelo Gaja in 1994, and it was his first foray into wines outside of Barbaresco and Barolo. Gaja makes 3 Brunellos, 2 single vineyard wines, and this wine, which is a blend of grapes from all the Gaja-owned Montalcino vineyards. Fermentation and maceration took 3 weeks, and the wine was aged 24 months in oak and another 6 months in concrete vats.
So that color's nicer already.
Yeah.
A year older, but it's still pretty and not quite as like brown and garnet as the one before.
And this is a wine made by Angelo Gaja, and so he's gonna put his stamp on it, which is probably not the traditional method that Biondi-Santi is using. I'm really looking forward to see what this is all about.
Nice. Smells good.
Yeah, it does. It smells way better than that last bottle.
Way better.
What are you getting?
I feel like I'm getting tart cherry.
It's a lot darker cherry than I would have expected. Earthy and refreshing too. There's something like bright and pretty about the nose.
We'll see.
Should we try it?
All right, cheers.
Okay, I see what you mean with the tanniny.
The tanniny?
Tanniny aspects.
It's like a cherry Jolly Rancher almost.
The mouthfeel and the fruit flavors are just enough to kind of back up the acidity and the tannin. The austere wines, I just feel like, are just like,
They don't
it's
have
like
that.
lemonade where you forgot to put any sugar in it.
Fair
And you
enough.
just got lots of water and a bit of lemon in it.
I think that's a great explanation of that.
I don't mind this wine. I mean, I think it's okay.
It's okay.
I think it's a little bitter for my taste. This tastes like a wine that's probably best with food because it does make your mouth so puckery
And water.
Yeah. But you know what, B? So I think B nailed it earlier. I think what it has that's just not great is bitterness.
I think that there's still time for this wine. Brunellos are one of those things where like, I'm gonna give them 10 years before I even think about opening them. They have to age for 5 years before they are gonna release these wines too. So you're halfway there. Your vintages that are out in the shops right now are halfway to when you could drink them, which is kind of great. That's not always the case with wines that you wanna age.
What are we trying next?
The Tenuta Nuova received a perfect score by the Wine Advocate and is one of Casanova the Neri's single vineyard bottlings. The vineyard is located in the warmer microclimate on the southern part of Brunello di Montalcino DOC, away from the winery, which is located on the eastern and northeastern slopes of town. The 1993 vintage was first released in 1998, and in 2006, Wine Spectator awarded the 2001 Tenuta Nuova the Wine of the Year award. This is clearly a special bottling. The 2010 went through fermentation in stainless steel vats for 25 days and spent 33 months in oak barrels.
I'm excited about trying a 100-point wine. We've done it in previous videos, but there's something about trying a wine that critics say is perfect.
It's hard to like not temper your expectations for that, right? A 100-point wine, like what is that gonna be like? And anything that I don't like about it is gonna make me question, like, why did you give it 100 points?
Now, as a wine professional, do you kind of feel like the 100-point wines are kind of like,
I mean,
do you roll your eyes? And
when does
kinda-
anybody give them a 60? Like, these, I feel like they're artificially inflated. Nothing is ever below 80 even. Even then, it's like, there is something about the pay-to-play system that I feel might be at work here.
All right, so that's a great point, and I'm going to go, after we record this video, I'm going to go back and tally the scores from Wine Spectator and Wine Advocate and see how many of the 2010 got below 90,
Okay.
between 90 and 95, and 95 and 100. And we'll have the data in the video. Wine Advocate has 275 Brunellos rated from the 2010 vintage. Of those, more than 22% are rated 95 and above. 59% are rated 90 to 94, and only 19% are rated below 90. The Wine Spectator has 183 wines rated from the 2010 vintage, and 21% of those are rated 95 and higher. A whopping 68% are rated 90 to 94, and only 10% of the wines are rated below 90. Imagine that. I guess both publications really love Brunellos from the 2010 vintage.
The best recommendation I can give you is find a reviewer who consistently gives nice reviews to wines that you also like drinking. Find someone who has a similar palate to you. Ignore the numbers. And then when they start tasting things you've never had before, okay, did you like that as much as I do? Are you mentioning flavors that I also like?
All right, that makes a lot of sense. And I really think that's something that I look for in the cellar charker as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got more purple tones for sure.
I think this one's even darker, yeah.
This
kind of fascinating.
Looks young, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it has any age on it whatsoever.
Yeah, no, it does not.
And that's bad?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, so it's not bad. It's obviously great because it's built to age, but maybe it means that we open it 10 years too soon.
What's new?
You know? So I think this is really floral to me.
Mm-hmm. There's something kind of earthy that always springs to mind when I smell something that's Italian. They always have a little bit of extra like volatile acidity to them in a pleasant way, not to the point where I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I do like this one better.
Sounds like he does too.
It's not nearly as bitter as this one.
I think the fruit is riper.
See, this one I can get behind.
Yes.
But it is like 10 years at least too young.
Oh man, there's so much time left.
Remember when we tried the 2019 Oprio? And it was like, we need to open this 25 years from now.
Yes.
But it was still good.
Still good.
This is like way too young,
And still
but it's still good.
I love that.
I'm gonna save this. I think it's my kind of like my reference wine going forward.
Okay, all right.
What do you think, B?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same.
All right.
What's next?
The Renieri estate is owned by the Bacci family and is part of the family portfolio of Italian wineries. The Renieri estate is about 120 hectares, of which about a quarter is cultivated with vines. This cellar is located underground to facilitate gravity flow and optimal temperature for aging. The wines are organic and aged 36 months in oak barrels.
So, our first Riserva.
The first thing that hit me was the color, right? This just got just a hint of breaking, right? Mm-hmm. Just a hint.
But I think it's more bricked than the Castelnuovo, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think lighter in color.
Ooh, but I like that nose. It's not quite as floral as the last one. There's something more like herbal and savory about it.
I get thyme.
Yeah, it's like a Neapolitan pizza or something. There's something like...
All right, I want to try it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's different.
Mm-hmm.
This
is ready.
Feels like it's totally ready.
The tannins are right where you want them to be. The acid isn't overkill. It's balanced. The herby is good. There's still some really like sour cherry fruit. There's almost a sweet and sour kind of sauciness going on to it that I like too.
This is gonna be really good with the pasta we're having later.
Yes, yes.
I know. So Mom actually has made a special dish. She's been cooking all day.
Literally all day. She's been making this incredible sauce and...
It smelled great when I walked in the house.
Can we just hurry up this tasting so we can get food?
There's only one left. Don't rush.
This wine.
No?
This may have kind of converted me a bit. Like, I like this.
You know, sometimes you gotta take the blinders off and look around.
Yeah.
There's so many good wines out there. If I stuck to just one, I could become an expert on Brunello, sure. But then I'd miss all the Riesling, or all the Bordeaux, or all the Napa Cab, or...
I could stick to Pinot Grigio the rest of my life. I'm just kidding.
No.
That's a joke.
So, you know what the best thing is about this show is going to be?
What?
We're going to be trying a lot of different wines. I'm going to need to be getting out of my comfort zone. I feel like I don't know which one I want as the reference one. Yeah, I'm just going to finish this right now, and then I'm going to go back to it later.
That's how you know he's not lying.
I'm a big believer in revealed preferences. Doesn't matter what you say.
Oh, yeah.
If this glass is empty, yeah,
That's a
I
good
like
preference.
it. All right, what's next?
We have one more left.
There's one more.
The only son of a sharecropper, Andrea Cortinesi purchased the old homestead with olive trees and a small vineyard in 1986. The vineyard is now 10 hectares, or about 25 acres, and Andrea Cortinesi produces some of the best Brunello around. The 2010 Reserva went through fermentation for 30 days with indigenous yeast and then malolactic fermentation, all in stainless steel vats. The wine spent 30 months in French and Slovenian oak vessels of all kinds of sizes. All right, this is our last one.
Last wine and another Reserva. I think the color definitely shows the age on this one, right? We've got some of that brickish tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's deeper red than
deeper.
our last one. That's a good nose.
This one for me is much more like savory and dirty. Not the floral that we were getting before. There's even something like meaty metallic about it.
I would agree with all of that. And I would tell you, I'm excited about this. I hate to use a term of masculine and feminine wines, but this feels like a masculine wine.
And if we're gonna do that, the last wine was feminine.
Yeah.
It's got some hairs on its chest.
100%.
And on its back.
Poor
Should we
guy.
try it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cheers. That's my favorite, I think. And I'm pretty feminine, so.
It's,
That's got some tannins to it.
yeah, it does. It's still got all that
Oh
structure.
my
There
gosh.
is no way this is not a masculine wine. Like, it's got all of that earthy, all that funk, all the meat, all that masculine nose. Yes, on the palate as well. That all kind of translates. I think it's great. I think this is another one that would benefit from some more time.
I think this could last 30 years.
Heck yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you, I really like the last 3 wines we've had.
I'm excited about that. I thought we were gonna fight over whether she liked or didn't like them, and here I am stoked that I've convinced your dad to drink Brunello.
Who would have thought that?
Italian wines are made for food. You know, there's something to be said about like how many times are we going out to eat and we're going to the Italian place? Or, you know, what do we cook at home? The comfort food, it's the Italian food. There are fine dining restaurants to peasant food restaurants that play on the Italian experience. And this is a wine region that's meant for food. And I am gonna pull this out every time I'm gonna do pasta, pizza, tomatoes, anytime I'm gonna do anything that needs, you know, something acidic to play with something acidic. So for me, it is definitely down to what am I eating? What is the occasion?
When we started the recording of this episode, I have to admit I was a bit skeptical. The Sangiovese Grosso is a thick-skinned grape, and Brunellos are known for high acidity and big tannins. That being said, all of the bottles, except for the Biondi-Santi, came from my cellar, so I must have some belief in them. We were all excited about tasting a bottle of Biondi-Santi. We wanted to taste Brunello royalty, but the first bottle ended up being corked instead. The second bottle was pleasant and had all the right components of acidity and complexity, but we weren't sure the wine would have held up to the others in a blind tasting. The Gaja Brunello was pleasant, but seemed a bit gnarly. The bitter finish detracted from the overall impression. The Casanova de Neri showed a lot of promise. It's pleasant now, but we all think it will be fantastic in 5 to 10 years. Good thing I have a few more bottles left in the cellar. The Renieri was soft, pleasant, and ready to be consumed. Of all the wines, this would be the one to drink now, and it was our second favorite wine. Our favorite, the wine of the night, was the Uccelliera. Big and muscular, this Brunello leaned towards the savory and masculine. This was a showstopper for sure, and the first bottle to be emptied at dinner following our recording. We took away 2 important learnings from our Brunello tasting. First, Brunellos need a lot of time to shed their tannins. A lot of time. Opening Brunellos too soon is not recommended and should be punished by, something really bad like having to drink a hard seltzer in front of your wine buddies. And the second learning, Brunellos, like most Italian wines, are often best consumed with food. What a fun tasting and a great evening we had. Cheers, everyone. All right, Jeff, bring us your glass. Which one was your favorite?
This last one?
Silly,
This
right?
last one.
This last one?
is
All
my
right, okay.
favorite.
Well then,
Cheers. Thank you for watching.
guys.
cheers.